You're listening to Weird and Dead, the paleontology podcast that tells evolution's most embarrassing and bizarre stories. I'm Megan Wetherell.
And I'm Amy Atwater, and we're two living scientists who are weirdly excited about dead things. And this is an exclusive episode we filmed for Patreon and are releasing as a holiday gift for you.
This episode is all about giant ancient lemurs, and the glorious images of these lemurs crushing birds and contemplating their existence are available over on the public side of our Patreon, patreon.com/weirdanddeadpodcast.
Did you know that there's more than an entire season of full-length exclusive episodes over there? You can binge them all for a mere $5 a month.
Like always, this is our podcast, even though it's an exclusive episode, and quite frankly, since we originally filmed these to go on Patreon, we kind of assumed that we could just be extra gross. So pay attention to the warnings in the description.
This episode is all about giant lemurs of Madagascar.
Yay!
Now, I want you to imagine, once upon a time, there were even more lemurs in Madagascar. And these lemurs were swole.
It's heaven.
Super swole. They were big ones. There were ancient lemurs in Madagascar that went extinct fairly recently. So we are talking within the last 1,000 to 300 years. That means that they are very commonly referred to as subfossil lemurs. Okay. We've talked a little bit about what defines a fossil, and I have realized that this is kind of an interesting qualifier, is that if they go extinct within the last 10,000 years, like we're still going to call them subfossils, even though they're not older than 10,000 years. And I'm like, if you go extinct, then all your bones are now subfossils because, right? I mean, I'd never thought about it as like extinction dependent, but maybe that's why.
The subfossil to fossil categorization is a little bit weird because it seems like some people have like that 10,000 year cutoff, and then some people have totally different cutoff. I've heard if it's within like the last 15,000 years, but it's not fully permineralized, I've seen people call that subfossil. So the word subfossil has no real meaning. Words don't mean anything, Amy.
It's subjective subfossils.
Ooh.
Yes. Yes. So whatever you want to call it, it essentially means they're dead, but they haven't been dead for that long. We are going to talk about the overlap with humans that is documented. Yeah, you already know where it goes.
Arm wrestling. They were doing a lot of arm wrestling.
And like lassoing and like riding on the backs of. No. Mostly just murdering and eating.
Yeah. Well.
Some cool things just about lemurs in general. So, lemurs, as we've talked about quite a few times because they're freaking amazing. They're on the island of Madagascar, which is off the coast of Africa. Lemurs used to be much more widespread than that in their evolutionary history, but they went extinct everywhere except Madagascar. Now, because Madagascar has been isolated as an island for, 60 million years, depending on who you ask, that can change, that number. But let's just go with like about 60 million years of isolation. So that means that there have been opportunities for these like radial adaptations similar to, I was just like, it's like the beak of the finch, but instead it's like the big ass and small ass lemurs. Yeah, the body of the lemur. Yes. And it's really interesting because it's like these giant lemurs were doing things in their niche that are in like what, as I will talk about, animals like sloths and koalas and monkeys. That they were able to, kind of be like, hey, this is an available space. I'm going to get super bulked up and become essentially a gorilla lemur, which is just freaking weird. So no, it's just really fascinating, but they're still lemurs at the end of the day. So some characteristics that we see in lemurs, these are strepsirrhine primates. They are not, they're not as closely related to humans and stuff. And so one of the things that lemurs have is like a tooth comb, which just means all of their incisors, and I think even some of their canines, maybe even I'm not really sure. They're all really tightly joined, literally like a little comb. It's probably a grooming adaptation. So that's a really distinctive lemur trait.
Do they have the little like weird forks in their incisors too? Like their incisors don't have a flat bottom? Or is it just that like the teeth themselves become the teeth of the comb?
I think it's just the teeth of themselves become the teeth of the comb. Yes, that they just get pushed together quite a bit. And we see this in some of the earliest lemur fossils of like these adapids, like Darwinius, the one from Messel. Woohoo, Messel has a tooth comb. And they have some other interesting things. They have what we call a grooming claw. Other cultures call it a toilet claw. It is exactly what you think it might be. So they've got some weird postcranial adaptations as well. So a lot of these giant lemurs had those sorts of things. We're going to talk about some weird ones. Other things that are characteristic of lemurs too is that they tend to have a little sexual dimorphism. They don't, and a lot of them are matriarchal in their hierarchical structure, which is really cool as well. So we don't really see change in canine size, even in these subfossil ones. It's apparent that they too didn't have like this male social dominance very much like modern lemurs. And another cool thing about lemurs that you've talked about is the torpor aspect. Lemurs, they live in a very they can go through periods because of the seasons not having a whole lot of resources. And so they'll go into just like this hypometabolism state and just like chill the fuck out. And I guess these giant ones were probably capable of that too. So it's just really interesting.
That's wild.
Yeah.
I know that like the small ones are the ones that have been the best studied as far as torpor goes, but I didn't know. I wonder if that's also just because they're like, when you're studying torpor, you have to implant temperature thing, like a little troll doll belly button gem. I wonder if it's just a little bit harder to do that on a big one.
That's a good point. I thought you were going to say, when you do those, you have to like keep them in captivity and get them real cold.
Also that too. Yeah. Yeah, hard to chill off a gorilla-sized lemur. Not that we have them. But.
Right. Yes. But they're subfossils, so, want to bring them back. There is decent DNA, but actually not great DNA either. Ooh. They have a really hard time figuring out how some of these giant lemurs are actually related to modern lemurs, even though they didn't go extinct that long ago. So just goes to show you that understanding evolutionary relationships is not, even if it's from more recent time, doesn't mean that it's any easier to understand how one species or one genus might be related to another, which is very cool. So today we're going to talk about the major types of these giant subfossil lemurs of Madagascar. We're going to walk through them. Then we're going to talk a little bit about their human interactions, how we know all of that. And then we're going to end by talking about how big exactly were they and how controversial that has been ever since their first discovery. And there's just so many anecdotes of all of these different hilarious size comparisons that are very, very. So we're going to have you scroll down to your first image because I know how.
I'm excited. There's one image that I know of about these guys just because it's so
I have no idea
funny.
What you're talking about.
It is. Oh God. All right. So this is probably one of my favorite pieces of paleo art. I want you to envision Bigfoot with a giant like ruff of white fur, except Bigfoot is a gentle beast and he's leaning out and he's got his arm outstretched, sort of like the Sistine Chapel, but instead of touching God or humans or another lemur, he's got a little parrot alighting on his finger. And just the decisions that went into this, yes. I fucking love it. I love it. This is
creepy.
This is amazing. It's so strange, and it's just such a strange decision, but it's everything.
It's everything.
It was a good decision.
I really like that you pointed out the weird white kind of like fluffy fur around the face. Yeah. It gives me very much founding father vibes. Like
like mutton chops. Yeah, yes. He's definitely got white mutton chops.
Or like even like we can go back to the old country. Like this is like Mr. Darcy. The Mr. Darcy lemur. I also love how human the hands are, even though as I just told you, lemurs have specific adaptations to their hands and feet. So it's very creepy. It's not accurate in the slightest. It isn't at all.
Is he actually maybe killing that bird? Like, it kind of looks like he's
very
like
gently
letting the bird alight on him, but as I look at it closer, it looks like maybe he's grabbing it by the tail.
But you can, maybe. I was going to say, yeah, like what my son does now with the cat. Yes.
Yeah. Ooh, danger.
So far, so good.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, but the bird doesn't look distressed.
Doesn't it?
I don't know.
Look at its head. Its head is tilted
back, but maybe it's singing. I envision this as very much, which fucking Disney movie is that where she just sings to all of the forest creatures all the time?
Sleeping Beauty?
Yeah, and they like make her outfits and shit. Like, I think that's kind of that's what I envision.
Sleeping Beauty lemur version plus mutton chops.
Plus
that's what we're looking at.
Humanoid lemur. Yeah.
Yeah,
super
that
weird.
Or possibly bird murder. It's really kind of hard to tell from this image. And I love the duality. It's up to interpretation.
And I really think, so we actually did a blog post on giant lemurs back in like 2012, I believe. And I think
and the only thing I remember is this photo.
Yeah. And I think this photo may have been the inspiration. I think like the photo maybe even came first, which is just very fascinating. So that is definitely going to be an eye catcher for folks. But if you want to scroll on down to the next picture, this is the one you can look at while I go over some of our different taxa that we have here. So you want to describe what you're looking at just to get us started?
Sure. This is an image of, let's see, how many different lemurs are there? There's 7 different lemurs.
One is
here.
just there for a sense of scale. The injury is just to show you.
Oh, is that what that is?
That's a modern lemur that some of these are closely related to. And so that's just giving you a sense of scale. Yep.
It looks like Pooh Bear with longer
Absolutely.
legs. Yeah. And I was giggling because they've drawn several of them as being like climbing or suspensorial. So like sloths, like hanging upside down. But of course, when you draw animals like this, there's always the temptation to like extend one of the arms out. And so a lot of them look like they are like high-fiving a tree. Archaeoindris looks like it's doing a full Hamlet play, staring at its own hand.
Hey, you kids!
yeah, it's got some interesting hand postures, I'd say, and a mystery Pooh Bear. Are you looking for the best possible dinosaur or fossil-related book for a kid in your life? Amy wrote one. It's got these amazing touchable illustrations, and while it is completely child-friendly, some of our favorite not-so-appropriate animals are hidden throughout. Get your copy of The Fossil Keeper's Treasure today, wherever you buy books.
Looking for fresh fashion with a science twist? Be sure to check out Geopetal Fabric, Megan's clothing company. These geek chic designs look fantastic and make for excellent conversation starters. Plus, get 10% off using code WEIRDANDDEAD. Head on over to geopetalfabric.com now.
It's blacked out. Everybody else is in full color, but the Pooh Bear is
the Pooh Bear
silhouette.
is our modern taxon here, while the other in color ones are some artistic representation of these subfossil giant lemurs. So we have 3 different groups who are depicted here. The first one we're going to talk about is arguably my favorite, though, man, I found out there was another contender. So there's 3 main groups, but I'm going to talk about 2 little rando ones too. But out of the 3 groups, the one that really sparked a lot of this is the sloth lemurs. All right. So this is Paleopropithecidae. I'm going to call them sloth lemurs. All right. So what you're looking at in the image there is the one climbing, the brown one that's climbing sloth-like, that's Paleopropithecus. So that is one of the most giant of these, but the biggest of the bigs is Archaeoindris, the one that's on the bottom there shaking its fist at the kids in its yard. And so those
Don't shake your fist like that.
And then
Amy's just making jerk off signs like I'm not going to notice.
And we've also got, I don't entirely know how to pronounce it, but Babacodia, I think is generally it. It's the other one that's fully inverted, super sloth style, and it goes full sloth. So what I mean by when I say sloth lemur is they're not weird. They're not sloths, you know, which are
like
totally
they are weird.
they're weird. They are, which are weird, right? So sloths are xenarthrans, which are most like South American anyway, and these are all obviously African. So these are the biggest of all of the lemurs of all time. Archaeoindris is the biggest of the big. Now they had these long curved hands and feet. That is how we are interpreting them to be specialized hangers. One of the other ways we see this kind of sloth-like, is that their arms are actually longer than their feet. So they're doing a lot more of the upside down hanging with their arms, and their feet are more robust and short to just kind of, I guess, like a sloth. Now, they were interpreted to be like sloths, totally herbivorous, and all lemurs, except for the ones that eat insects and stuff. Never mind. So they were eating mostly leaves is what they are thought to be. And they were still in Madagascar when humans got there. And there is quite a bit of evidence of human butchery of the sloth lemurs, which is really interesting too. And sad, really depressing. I think we write in the blog post that it's like, Amy was only 1,500 years too late from seeing one of her greatest loves. And I missed out. But other people did actually witness these, but not in a sense of like understanding necessarily their entire biology. So a lot of this interpretation is from the bones. So one of the first guys who found the cranium of Paleopropithecus, so the second largest, is that he was like, this motherfucker is an aquatic creature that is swimming at the water surface with just its eyes, ears, and nostrils barely above the water. Literally, that is and this paper,
what a wildly different interpretation.
It uses all of these different anatomical reasoning for this. And the paper I was reading was like, unfortunately, the postcranial bones that he brought to bear up his argument did not even belong to Paleopropithecus. So whoops, fail.
So sort of like a Diplodocus, Brontosaurus-y sort of situation.
Yes,
It's
Apatosaurus and Brontosaurus.
Apatosaurus.
Yeah, it's not that I care. I do. I have to. I get paid money to care, so I do care. Yeah, so Archaeoindris is considered one of the largest primates to ever evolve anywhere, anytime. So we're not just talking about lemurs. We are talking, it is in the running of literal gorillas, orangutans. Like, it is fucking
Gigantopithecus?
Huge. Gigantopithecus is still bigger, definitely. But it's still in, like, our probably top 10 primates, which is freaking wild.
I feel like it really... If you're not a paleontologist, it must sound very strange to not have an idea of how big an animal truly is. Like, part of it is that you don't usually have the full skeleton. Right. A lot of it is that you don't have like a good sense of how that animal would stand. So like a horse that you stood on its back legs is a lot fucking taller than a horse that you stand on all fours. You know, so like obviously that's not the typical body posture for a horse, but when you're talking about an extinct animal, that can be a lot more difficult to kind of describe. So like even things like height can be really difficult to accurately describe because you don't know how that animal stood or how tall it was on any given day or whether it wore high heels. It's always going to be a mystery.
It's fascinating. So I'm going to have you go ahead and scroll on down to what I mean by sloth lemur to see this articulated skeleton. Please describe this beauty that you see.
Jesus. I mean, sloths are skeletally horrifying. And I would say that this is also quite disturbing. They have way longer... You know how like everybody's like, oh, birds have such long necks. Like if you really looked at a chicken neck, it's huge. Like, no, sloths have creepily long arms and legs. They are frightening. And they are adapted specifically. They have a suspensorial like locomotion system. So they have this, they're designed to hang and dangle. And so they have really long, creepy hands and feet as well. And so what I'm looking at here is a stretched out, lanky, upside down motherfucker with fangs. Technically, sloths, all their teeth are fangs, but this one is clearly a primate and has giant, chonky fangs and a really thick head.
Oh, maybe I should add that other image back to this, but it didn't have a scale bar, so I was pissed off. Neither does this one, which is also frustrating. But this one, thank you. And I guess when I say canine, so while they still had pretty chunky canines, like Megan is noticing, there wasn't dimorphism between the sexes with those. Right. So that's kind of what I want to clarify again, that, yeah, they still had...
Because in a lot of primates, the males will have much bigger canines than the females will.
Yes, exactly. And so Also, thank you for pointing out, very similar in this sloth. However, when a sloth is hanging on a branch completely inverted like it does, it is relying largely on its claws. It has extended its claws, whereas sloth lemurs
that's right.
have just done it with their fucking creepy long hands.
Oh,
what I read
gross.
is that they went so hard for
why is
this
that grosser?
they couldn't have done anything else with their hands. Like they were legitimately curved. It is that like what you're seeing isn't them like what we would do to bend our fingers over a bar. No, they're stuck, and not even that, but look how curved the metacarpal
Those are really
is.
curved.
Look how curved.
I kind of thought that was
the first phalanx
a little bit
is.
extreme, but yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
so
shit, yeah.
while sloths do it with their claws, sloth lemurs were like, fuck that shit. And they have normal nails like a primate does. But they have done the same adaptation for gripping the branches by modifying their actual hands and feet to be able to maximize their hanging potential here, which is, and if you want to scroll on down to see exactly how chonky their heads can get.
That looks like an Oreodont.
Yes.
That is a chunky head.
And look at the nose of it too. It like looks like a nose already, which is really interesting. So another thing.
Yeah, it's got like nostril bones, which is not a thing that happens.
Another thing that separates lemurs are strepsirrhines, which literally translates to wet nose. That is like the nose of a cat or a dog when you boop it and it's a little bit wet, right? That's what a lemur would have had, whereas haplorhines, which are pretty much all other primates, including us, that translates to dry nose. It's interesting that it looks so different because they are using their noses differently than other primates are of this same size.
So like typically when you look at a skull, whether it has a wet nose or dry nose, it kind of just has like this straight chunk of nasal bone. And the nostrils that you see, or like the flared out sides of a dog's nose, those are like cartilage and flesh. They're not necessarily represented in bone. But this guy has he's got tits on his nose. Like he's got two big bony bumps. Do you think that means he just had like a giant nose? Like did this guy just have just this super massive wide heart-shaped nose?
Part of me is now wondering if this is reconstructed at all as well.
Yeah,
which is why I went ahead and threw in the other image into this document, which they still have fucking weird noses. So go ahead and
they definitely
scroll down to see more.
Yeah.
But I don't think quite the same sculpted, like straight up looking like it has a fucking nostril nose. But here, this one again.
Look at
B. No, absolutely. B has. So that's a really interesting observation, and I don't know enough about modern. Yeah, actually, I have seen some modern lemur skulls that don't really look like this. This one pissed me off because there's no scale bar, so I was like, "What the fuck?"
And they're definitely not the same size, right? So like, they're all being presented as if they're not.
Yeah, exactly. They're all being kind of put, which is probably why there isn't a scale bar. But here again, you can see, I mean, these things had bowling ball heads, which is really interesting too. Like the depth of the ramus of the mandible, so like the back of the jaw, like the angle of the jaw is like, I mean, it's chunky, it's swole, it's geeked out, like it's impressive. And I didn't read too much around. I mean, I would assume that those are adaptations to a highly folivorous lifestyle, which is eating a lot of leaves. Eating leaves is hard, right? Gorillas are also folivorous, so we also see quite the chonky jaws with them. Same with maybe some of these, like, you know, the tough eating Paranthropus boisei and whatnot. The heart. Anyway, so it's probably an adaptation to eating a lot of leaves. Still, very, very, very fascinating.
They have incredibly thick zygomatic arches, which are your cheekbones on your skull. And just know from herbivore skulls, anytime you have a big mandibular angle, so like a big chonky like lower cheek, and if you have a thick zygomatic arch, that's associated with a really big masseter muscle. So specifically, it's like directing your chewing power towards the back of your tooth row instead of being up in your clipping teeth. So you're really good at grinding and slicing and not necessarily, I mean, don't tempt a horse, but theoretically they're not as good at nipping as they are at grinding. Actually, you know what? Go ahead and stick your hand in a horse's mouth and tell me what happens. But I'm going to guess that you're going to get pulverized on both ends and just slightly worse at the back end.
Right. And I mean, now that you say it too, I am seeing some, general similarities to those oreodons, like the really chunky oreodons that you've worked on. So these weird sheep pig mammal things that also have a lot of these features, including the thick zygomatics and, a very chunky mandible as well. So yeah, would love to learn more about some of that convergence that may or may not be occurring in these weird giant lemurs. And then if we scroll down again, this one gives you a slightly better sense of size, but motherfuckers, please denote your fucking scale bar. It has a scale bar, and I'm assuming that's 3 centimeters. But I don't know because it doesn't, and that's why I included the entire caption in it, because I'm like, did I just not see it? But what you're looking at here is that it's Paleopropithecus on the top, and then we have got Archaeoindris on the bottom. So within these sloth lemurs, this is showing you that, again, while they're both big ass chunky boys, comparable in size to the skull of a gorilla, this is Archaeoindris just is like tops the cake. It is just the biggest. And they both have, again, as we're noticing, this weird nose. So kind of curious about that.
I'm super curious about that.
So those are the sloth lemurs. Now, our next group that I'm going to talk about are known, this is Megalodapidae, and these are the koala lemurs. So they they also get really large, but I found one article that was like, but their heads were oversized for their bodies. And I was like, what do you mean?
That's oreodonts have that too. When you look at an oreodont skull, you can't imagine that it's the size of like a regular animal, because like Promerococcurus, for example, has a skull that's the size of a cow skull, but it's the size of a like medium pig. It's not, they just have giant, I guess it's like an ancestral condition, at least in herbivores, to have a massive fucking head. And then as you become more derived in your herbivory, you often reduce the size of your head because you don't need it, because you're doing more, at least with like ruminants, you're doing more digestion in your stomach and less intense chewing. So,
oh my God, I wonder what the guts of these giant lemurs was like.
I do too.
That'd be interesting, but we ate them all, so we don't know. So we've got koala lemurs. So this is the genus Megalodapus, also thought to be quite large, about 5 feet long, maybe 1.5 meters. That's the equivalent. I'm not even going to go into the sizes, like the weight yet, because we have a whole section on that. Now, they are called koala lemurs, not because they're marsupials, but because they had similar bodies, which then they were like long arms, short legs, and big feet and hands for clutching tree trunks or branches. So even though they were fucking giant, they still were probably very committed to life in the trees. And they're described as slow climbers with huge pincher-like feet. Those are the ones in that first image that are shown kind of just like doing a koala thing, like very much
tree hugging, not...
Yeah, tree hugging
tree
versus tree inverting.
Yeah.
And so again, this one, sometimes people say it's gorilla sized. Spoiler alert, it wasn't. Wasn't that big. But it's fun to talk about that kind of stuff. Now, some researchers also think, so again, these are going to be another herbivorous group. They're eating a lot of leaves, and it's thought that they maybe were some of the trees in the ecosystem were actually reliant on Megalodapus to help disperse seeds, kind of like what some folks have said with sloths, not to confuse everyone. And then another interesting that was pointed out from the Duke Lemur Center, which seems like a very, very cool place based on their Instagram that I follow heavily, is that they point out that modern lemurs are very vocal, especially the Indries, which is that another tree hugging one that's still alive. And so they're and they're fucking loud. So we can't even imagine how loud Madagascar must have been 3,000 years ago when all these motherfuckers were just, they must have been deafening with their very loud calls.
Interesting.
Which is, so if you want to scroll down to see the size of this one, I like this better because it's in someone's hand. So thank you, stranger on the internet. Oh, George Perry.
Are we talking about the mandible?
The mandible, and it has a skull under it too. Yeah. So these are your koala lemur images. So again, fucking huge.
That is big.
In the bottom photo, in the bottom lower right, is a modern day lemur skull. I was very annoyed that they didn't tell me which one, but whatever. None of them are all that big. Do you know the biggest of the modern lemurs, Megan? Pop quiz?
The one that has the stripy tail?
Nope. That's a ringtail. Actually, I might be wrong about this, so maybe I'm going to take this quiz back.
Is it the red one?
Ruffed lemur. Now I'm Googling.
It's the fuzz,
no, I
the
thought
fuzzy
it,
one. See, now I can't
oh,
be
damn
wrong.
it. It's the injury. It's your Pooh Bear one.
Oh,
So the injuries are what the sloth lemurs are most closely related to.
Okay.
So injuries are cool. They're also in a group with the Ceefax. Ceefax. It's spelled Ceefaka, but it's pronounced Ceefax. And we had this event at UT Austin that was like for kids and stuff. And we had some jumping contest because the Ceefax are like super efficient at jumping. And anyway, all the kids were like, I'm a Ceefax. I'm a Ceefax. And I was like, this is hilarious. This is some good shit. So
you're telling me Zaboomafoo is not the biggest lemur?
Oh, which one is Zaboomafoo? Isn't that a black and white ruffed lemur?
I think it's a ringtail. It's also a puppet for large portions of time.
I should know. I watched the Zaboom. Yeah, exactly. Zaboomafoo lemur. I think it's a rough lemur.
I love that you are tripping over.
Oh no, it's a Ceefaka. It's a Ceefaka.
Oh, is it?
It is a Ceefaka.
I love that you're tripping more over Zaboomafoo than you are over the pronunciation of these Latin names. Like that's you're such a nerd.
You have no idea how many times this morning I was like Paleopropithecidae. Anyway, so I did it a lot. So those are our koala lemurs. Okay. Cute. Now I
just want to pause you here because you just keep saying cute. That is fucking monstrous. That is terrifying looking. Like, but it's got lemurs. A giant sagittal crest, which is a place where muscles attach that are often for the front of your mouth. That's where the ouchie bite muscles go. So yeah, that looks that looks
You're right.
That's terrifying. That's a koala on steroids. Look at those fangs. Also, again, a weird nose. That nasal bone
and a weird
dangles.
Nose. Yeah, no, it's the opposite of a trunk. It's like extended.
You know what it
over.
looks like?
It's actually
a pig. That's what pig noses look like.
Oh, well, pigs still have a
They have like
They have a semi-mobile snout.
Yeah,
so.
They've got a mobile snout, but it's made of cartilage instead of being made of like muscle. So, anyways.
Well, I think we might have to go down some other rabbit holes sometime. If you go back to the first image of the beautiful bipedal lemur, beautiful, that's what I'm referring to. It's gorgeous. It's
oh, right. The one that's crushing a bird.
Yeah, right. Well, it's debatable.
Really, that picture has captured a lot of what I'm feeling right now. Like, is this something that would be terrifying, or is it something that's gentle? But also probably would fuck you up because you can't really trust that just because an animal eats plants, it won't beat the shit out of you. Like,
right.
It's really got the vibes of these sloth lemurs down.
Exactly. We can understand now where this artist is coming from.
Yeah.
So our last of the major three groups is the archaeo lemurs.
Okay.
So these are the monkey lemurs. Mm-hmm. So in that image that had all 6 of them in there, the ones that were on the ground doing the terrestrial motion, those are the monkey lemurs. So out of the ones we've talked about, they're not as big. They're more baboon sized. They do more of they seem to be doing more of a baboon or a rhesus monkey kind of behavior, which are terrestrial monkeys. And yeah, again, they seem to have convergence with baboons and macaques. That's what a rhesus monkey is. They are also thought to be hard food specialists, but and that there may have actually been some evidence of omnivory in the monkey lemurs. I don't have as much on this one. You can scroll down to see the one picture of the cute little bony face, which isn't cute at all, but I'm going to go, ooh.
Oh my God. That poor thing.
Look at that limb bone. I don't even know if that's a 3D print or a real bone. Again, very little information. Thanks, internet.
That looks like real. So what I'm looking at right here is we've got a skull in the middle and we've got a regular femur on the left-hand side. And we've got a very, very infected femur on the right-hand side. It's got all of these little lumps and divots of bone that appear to have grown up, which that happens when you damage the periosteum, the outside lining of the bone. And so it will lift up and you get these weird deposits of bones. So bone bruising will cause that, but so will various infections. And judging by the fact that the entire thing is covered, that boy had a sick leg. Jesus.
Yeah, its face doesn't look that great either.
No, it doesn't. Yeah.
It looks pretty gnar. Yeah. So they had a tougher anyway. So great. These even though they're subfossils, still limited numbers of these specimens to be working with,
and
which is quite
I was kind of thinking about that when we talk about like a lot of these seem to have kind of fucked up noses. Like they've got like big nose protuberances. I wonder if that's also just maybe we have one really fucked up skull. And the rest of them didn't have it. Like sometimes you can't tell the difference between, well, that one was a bit of a weird looking one. Tony was a little fucked when you don't have more than just Tony. So
right. And think about it if you only find Tony and Tony's your only representation. And this is why I have so many problems with dinosaur and human evolution taxonomy. Because I'm like, what if you just found the fucking weirdo and you're trying to make all of these? You need a good sample size so you can beat out the Tonys.
Yeah.
So then we have two other groups that don't get quite as big. One of them is the pachylemurs. These are like a ruffed lemur. They're just a really big ruffed lemur. Yay, cool for them. I don't have a picture of that. They consumed fruit, so we're seeing quite the like spread of different ecological roles. And then the last one I wanted to tell you about is the giant eye. Scroll down.
There's a giant eye?
There's a motherfucking giant eye. Look at that picture.
Oh, it's horrifying. I love it. I love it. I can't believe that went extinct.
And it was definitely still extant when humans arrived. I found a thing that said that its incisors were collected, drilled, and used for like decorations and necklaces and stuff. Which is interesting that the incisors,
like nightmare fingers.
Well, so the first thing I immediately was like, do we know if it had the same fucking nightmare finger? So eyes, right? The modern day eyes, which are also relatively large as far as lemurs go, they have this very extended digit. I think it's digit 2, and they use it to tap on trees and whatnot and get grubs. And it's creepy as fuck. It is like way too long. It is very disturbing.
Yeah, it's how my mother plays Jenga. She takes one of her fingers, she gently taps. But imagine
new game.
Way longer.
Yeah, we need to have someone make us an eye finger that you can put on your own finger like the little fake hand things. And then that's how we should play a game of Jenga.
Yeah.
Oh my God. That'd be so hard.
It would be so hard. My mom does a great job of it, but her finger isn't like supremely long. So.
So what I found out is that they don't actually have a ton of material from this one. Okay. So while I read that it is very much just like a giant eye in all ways of creepiness that would entail. However, it doesn't seem like we have a great sample size of anything beyond a couple skulls and maybe a couple postcranial pieces that don't necessarily include digits. So I don't know, but I would assume that just being, again, recent and just a giant eye, that yes, it had the creepy fingers that would have been even bigger. And for reference, I am going to talk about size of this one. A modern day eye is about 5 pounds, which is about 2.3 to 2.7
5
kilograms. They're they're got that wiry, scary fluff.
I guess that's true.
The extinct ones, 11 to 18 pounds. Like at least 2, if not like 3 to 4 times the size of a modern eye. So just take a modern eye and multiply it by 3. Man. That's what would have been waiting for you. And it was nocturnal. It was definitely still a nocturnal. And so they're more insectivorous, as they're saying, eating bugs and grubs and shit. And so that is what would have been around at night in Madagascar like 1,500 years ago, are fucking like small dog-sized eyes.
Wow.
Yeah. That's so gross. Okay. So, and now I've been talking a lot about, humans. So we do know that humans interacted. There are these different quotes about early white people going and hearing about regions that had hornless water cows that would make large noises. These are probably translation errors too, if you know what I mean. And so they very much did coexist with people, and that indigenous people of Madagascar would show these European researchers places where they could find their bones and other weird extinct things like the pygmy hippopotamus and stuff like that. And some of those bones have clear cut marks on them. So go ahead and scroll down to see a sloth lemur. So this is back to Paleopropithecus having a ton. And this is just one of many that this document claimed to have. And it was very, very clear that so we're seeing deliberate cutting and butchering marks on this bone. And it's above the medial epicondyle of the, I don't know, what has that? Is that a long bone?
Is that the humerus?
Is that an arm? Is that a humerus? I think that might be a humerus. Epicondyle? Whoops.
Yeah.
Oh, it says it right there. The left humerus. Woo! I got it right. Okay. So we know that they're eating them. And then I found this cool paper. Go ahead and scroll down that there are actual legitimate cave paintings of these motherfucking sloth lemurs.
Oh, that's so cool.
In this scene, it is shown with a hunting scene with dogs to the right, and then kind of to the far left, you can see a faint thing that they think might be a weapon. And at first, when I looked at it, I thought that the sloth lemur was full slothing it, and the dogs were running towards it. But as you can see in the interpretation in the image below, it looks like it's dead on the ground with its legs straight up. I don't really know what's going on here.
I mean, that makes more sense than hunting an animal in the trees with dogs.
What if it was like a really low hanging tree?
I mean, it might be helpful to have dogs just to let you know there's something in the tree, I guess. They could tell you where it is. Having seen my dogs corner many a squirrel, they're not going to get it, no matter how hard they try.
Right. So no, it is probably more, and then what? It's just rigor mortis, which is not how you say it, but that it's like arms are straight up.
Well,
but, you know,
two of its arms. It looks like two of its arms have been cut off.
Right. Well, humans got hungry.
Yeah, that's really cool.
Yeah. It's really cool that there's just so many aspects to this story. Really, really fascinating. And when it came back, I reread our blog post about this, and it's pretty funny because we're hilarious.
Always have been, always will be.
And most of our article is us, and mostly me, because I think I wrote this while you were on vacation after you made me write about fossil fucking fungus. Most of the article, I just bitch about how all of the size estimates do not have any standard error associated with them. So every time, right, you've already been talking about this. We've talked about this in other episodes. If you only have a bone, and in this case, a lot of it is teeth versus a long bone. If you only have that to reconstruct your size, there's always going to be errors associated with those calculations. And a lot of folks don't propagate those errors to show you where the actual, okay, this one says that it weighed 508 pounds based on molar teeth. But if you look at something from the femoral head, it says something completely different, and especially if you don't actually list that error with it, then it's very meaningless. And our example was actually pretty funny. Okay. So let me see if I can find.
I love this. We could just use our old material. We don't have
it was great. Actually, half of the images I've shown you are from our blog post.
Oh man,
so
I only remember the first one.
You're welcome, us. Yes. So a lot of them are saying it's in the size range of 330 to 414 pounds, but it still doesn't. So a range is a little bit better, but it's still not really talking about it. So we wrote in paleontology, or really any science where you're predicting body mass from a bone, you accumulate standard errors from all your regressions and calculations. The standard error is extremely important when judging the validity of a mass estimate. Let's say we use Amy's pinky toe to estimate her mass and calculate a value of 175 pounds plus or minus 200 pounds. Meaning she's probably 175 pounds, but she could be 375 pounds or negative 25 pounds, making the estimate completely statistically insignificant and therefore shouldn't really be published. Yeah. Which is our point, which is very funny. And then I continue to rant about how I don't have access to a paper that supposedly had better shit. So today I went and got me access.
I'm so proud of you.
I'm not gonna say how, because it was
you robbed a library. But yeah.
Sure, that's better than what I did. So, yep. Because again, to give you some ballpark estimates of what people have said these fucking fossil lemurs weigh is really wide ranging. Megalodapus Megalodaphus has been compared to that of a calf, a bear cub, and a St. Bernard dog.
I have no idea how much any of those weigh, except maybe a calf.
Right.
But I have miniature cows.
A calf, but like a calf it's a cow calf. Anyway, impressed by its very long skull, Rudinsky incorrectly said that Megalodapus was the largest of the extinct lemurs, even though it's actually Archaeoindris. And then some people have said that Archaeoindris is about the size of a human, maybe larger than a human, possibly gorilla size, and possibly the largest primate ever, which is not true. Yeah. And then the Paleoprithecus has been compared to a modern chimpanzee. And again, a lot of baboons are used for archaeolemurs. So it literally is just like whatever fucking animal you want to throw in, it's been thought of for these subfossil lemurs. So finally, I got access to that paper. You can scroll down to my final image, which is the table I've been wanting for 10 fucking years, actually 12 years, that shows us it's still not great. It's still not great. No, but it's okay. They did do a lot of numbering. Mm-hmm. They used as many elements as they could. They used modern species, not just primates. They also used the animals we're comparing them to, koalas and sloths. And they tried to do a lot of just standardization. I think it was a lot of looking at the cross-section of limb bones at the cortical bone there to be able to get these rates. So here we have Archaeoindris is given a mean weight of 161.2 kilograms, with the range of it being from 151 to 188. A gorilla, on average, weighs 300 pounds, which is 136 kilometers. I'm great with the metric system. I was doing so well, except for that rigor mortis. I digress. The point is, Archaeoindris was probably around the same fucking size as a gorilla. Okay. It was really a gorilla-sized lemur, but that was like partially arboreal, which gorillas are not. Yeah. You do not see those motherfuckers in the trees. Yeah. So, I mean, this baby was big. The average is 161 kilograms, and that is 355 pounds. And that's so we're talking about a 355-pound lemur. 355. Lemur.
That's so bizarre. And I know that from other research, a lot of times it can be difficult to tell the difference between something that is arboreal and something that digs a lot. And I wonder if maybe this needs to be reevaluated. Like, that's a huge fucking animal to have in a tree.
Yes.
And I know that the trees in Madagascar at that point were a little bit weird, but I thought they were just spiky and short. I don't think that they were like redwoods, like so big.
Archaeoindris, the biggest one, this 350-pound chonko lemur, is a sloth lemur and has been interpreted to be in trees. However, they've also compared it to being a giant ground sloth.
Yeah, that makes
kind
of
sense. Sloth.
Yeah.
So I think that is needs to be considered.
Yeah. Interesting.
Just like giant ground sloths were also interacting with trees quite a bit as well, because they're still eating these things. They still needed those crazy claws to be able to reach those branches. But I will also say that then I was like, well, is this as big as a giant ground sloth? No, giant ground sloths are huge, way fucking bigger than this.
The biggest
we're talking
ones,
the biggest of them. So maybe Archaeoindris was doing some shit in the trees. Maybe it was a giant ground sloth style. Maybe it's a little bit of both. Maybe about it. It was obviously delicious.
Lemurs. Fucking wild.
Thank you for listening. If you like the podcast, be sure to rate and review us on your listening platform of choice. We really, really, really appreciate it.
If you'd like to hear more and support the show, you can follow us on Patreon for some exclusive bits or on our various social media platforms. You can follow Amy on Instagram at Mary Anning's Revenge.
And Megan on Instagram and TikTok as GeoPedalFabric, or both of us at Weird and Dead on Instagram and TikTok. Our theme song is Unlock Me by Prazkanal. Cover art was provided by Chris Spencer and the hosts.
And this has been hosted and researched by us, Amy Atwater and Megan Weatherall. Thank you for listening.